Okay, what I'd like to demonstrate today is how to balance these three-bladed GWS props. Um, you've probably seen other stuff on the internet that tells you how to do this by removing material, but because these are so thin, I like to do it by just using some tape to adding weight to the lighter blades. Okay, the concept is pretty simple. Basically, you're going to have three blades. They're each going to be different weights, and what you want to do is take the two lighter blades and make them the same weight as the heavier blade. So it's pretty straightforward, actually quite easy to do, and we'll demonstrate how to do that here in a second. What you'll need basically, obviously your blade, you want your inserts to match your shaft diameter. You want to do that before you start, just in case these aren't perfectly concentric. You want to make sure you balance it with these inserted into the prop so that they're nice and balanced when you're done. If you add them in after they're balanced, it could throw your balance off, and you'll still get some vibration. Okay. I have my homemade prop balancer. It's a magnetic balancer. It works great, and I have a simple hand balancer which I've adapted for use. Actually, it's no adaptation necessary. It works as a great magnetic balancer, and it's very, very sensitive. It works very well. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, in my case, I have a 5mm. Okay. Next step is to put the finger balancer onto your prop. Tighten it down so you know that the cone is inside the holes and it's snug but not too tight. You don't want it loose at all. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is put it onto the magnetic balancer and find out which blades are the heaviest, which blades are the lightest. Okay, so here's my balancer set up with enough clearance so the prop doesn't hit the table. And it's in the balancer. And let's see where she ends up. Okay, so it's pretty clear that obviously the blade that's on the higher side, this is our lightest blade. This blade here will be our second lightest, and the one underneath, the lowest one, will be the heaviest blade. So what I'm going to do is going to take a marker, Sharpie works best, and I'll put one dot on this one, 2 dots on this blade, and 3 dots on the lower blade. That way I know which one is the heaviest, medium, and the lightest. Now, even though I'm going to use a black Sharpie here, now even though the blade is black, these will show up, okay? So let's just want to make sure that's the lightest and the medium, okay? So I'm just going to mark on here, 1 for the lightest, 2 for the in between, 3 for the heaviest blade. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make this blade the number 1 and the number 2 the same weight as the number 3. And what I like to do is start off by matching the number 1 to the number 3. Okay. So basically what we're going to try to do is we're going to take the number 2 blade, which is this one here, okay, and we're going to try to keep that at a 12 o'clock position. Now obviously this is our number 3. Sorry, that's number 3. This is our number 2 blade. We're going to try to keep this at our 12 o'clock position. Okay. Now this is my number 3 blade here, and this is my number 1 on this side. So obviously it's going to go to the heavy blade this way. So we're going to start adding some tape to the lighter blade, the number 1 blade, until we get into a vertical position on the number 2. Now I just use regular Scotch tape. Clear packing tape works as well. The very clear stuff is the right stuff to use. The more opaque stuff is not as sticky and doesn't work as well. Make sure that's my number one. Very carefully add my tape. Make sure not to get any bubbles in there. And we add it to the back side of the blade. Keep our number 2 vertical. So you can see here that number 3 is still fairly much heavier than number 1. So we'll add some more weight to the number 1 blade. So it looks like our number 2 staying just about vertical. So I would say that's pretty much balanced. Now we're going to try to attempt to get number 1 to stop in the 12 o'clock position while we add weight to the number 2 blade. So now number 1 is perfectly vertical. Now this prop should appear to be perfectly balanced. So we'll try it. Should be able to put it in any position and it should stay. So there's the number 2. It doesn't move. Number 3 vertical, it doesn't move. And basically any position and it should stay without moving. This prop is perfectly balanced.